Good morning, Nkanyiso. Can we start the meeting?
Afternoon, Chairperson. And yes, Chair, we can start the meeting at 1 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, honorable members, the Deputy Minister, and officials from the department. I want to declare the meeting open and welcome the Deputy Minister, as the Minister did apologize with he have to attend an urgent meeting, but the Deputy Minister is present to deal with the undertaking that we have to do for today. We remember that the meeting was postponed last week because the Deputy Minister was committed and the Minister. You are welcome, Deputy Minister, to the Select Committee on Petitions and Executive Undertakings. Without wasting more time, because we are having plenaries at 2, I will just hand over to the Deputy Minister, maybe to come in and give us the briefing or the report connection with the undertaking that during the sitting of the 30th of May 2023 on the NCOP. Over to you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to members of the committee, the National Commissioner, the Deputy National Commissioner, General Musikidi, General Lebeya, the National Head of the Hawks, and the DNC there, and the other senior management, including the acting DNC Impane, who's our CFO. We have prepared a presentation and would like to apologize to the committee for the engagement last, which you could not proceed with the proceedings. I think it's last week, if I'm not mistaken. Would like to apologize to you, Chair. It was not intentional. We just had emergency matters that arose, including today. We were supposed to be joined and be led by the minister, but the unforeseen issues emerged, and he had to excuse himself from the meeting, and he has submitted an apology. We'd like to apologize on behalf of the ministry. This is in no way communicating our attitude to yourselves. It's beyond our control, and thank you for your understanding. But I'm here with the team, and if you may allow, without any further ado, I'll ask the National Commissioner to lead us in the presentation of our response, or he can designate somebody, or the Deputy National Commissioner, General Musikidi, if in case he might have had challenges where he is. But I'll ask that he come in. If he delays because of other issues, I will request that General Musikidi should come in and lead with the presentation through you, Chairperson, if you may allow.
It's fine, Deputy Minister, you can.
Thank you very much. National Commissioner or DNC Musikidi.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Deputy Minister and honorable members. I am going to allow Brigadier Michel, without wasting any time, Honorable Chairperson and DM, to give the responses as we have prepared them for the committee. Brigadier Michel.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson, our Deputy Minister, the National Commissioner, the head of the Hawks. I understand that we have limited time, so I'm going to try and move through the detailed presentation that we've provided for the committee quite quickly. There are 10 undertakings, as the Honorable Chairperson indicated, that were made by our Minister of Police during the NCOP plenary in May. The purpose of the presentation is to provide feedback on each one of these 10 undertakings. The first undertaking, which is Undertaking A, a budget of 65 million allocated to the provinces to address contact crime, specifically looking at the top 30 high contact crime stations. This has been done. 65 million was in fact allocated to the provinces, with actual expenditure at 80.4% as at the 31st of October 2023, or 48.6 million. Executive Undertaking B relates to the specialized tracking teams that needed to be put in place to accelerate the apprehension of wanted criminals. The top management of SAPS, under the guidance of the Minister and the Deputy Minister, developed the Increased Crime Prevention and Combating Action Plan, which includes the requirement that these tracking teams be established at provincial and district levels, which has in fact been done. These tracking teams are active. Feedback is given to the Minister and the Deputy Minister on a weekly basis as far as the successes associated with the tracking teams go, and we would prefer not to disclose that information at an open platform. Executive Undertaking C spoke to the allocation of new trainees to the detective services capability within the SAP, specifically 2,808. On the 10th of October, the National Commissioner approved the allocation of 2,888 entry-level SAPS trainees to this environment. They will complete their training in December, following which they will undergo a workplace exposure program, which will be concluded in June 2024, subsequent to which they will be placed in the detective service environment. Executive Undertaking B spoke to the re-enlistment of former experienced members of the SAPS to capacitate the detective service. This is ongoing. posts for the implementation of the detective service, capacitation of the detective service were advertised on the 9th of July. The selection process is currently underway, and it's envisaged that these members will be appointed with effect from the 1st of January 2024. Executive Undertaking E related to the Financial Action Task Force, specifically the accelerating of the implementation of standards and methodologies within the SAPS. The SAPS has developed an action plan to address the FATF deficiencies that were identified by the FATF group. Representatives from various divisions within the SAPS are represented on this particular working group, as well as the law enforcement working group. The deficiencies to be addressed are not only limited to expertise within the SAPS, but also require stakeholders from outside of the SAPS with whom we are currently working with: the NPA, the FIC, SIU, the CIPC, and the SSA. And the action plan focuses on the activities required to achieve the FATF recommended actions. There are further recommendations that require the enhancement of specialized financing and terror investigation skills. The recommendations by FATF require the overall enhancement of terror financing, money laundering, and asset forfeiture investigations. Timelines have been agreed to with the FATF joint group. We submit progress reports to the Intergovernmental Working Group in this regard. And the SAPS also nominated officers who attended the joint group in Jordan from the 10th to the 15th of September, and progress reports are continuously provided through to the Intergovernmental Working Group as indicated. Executive Undertaking F, the SAPS is to address delays in the processing of ballistics and chemistry examples. FSL Forensic Science Laboratory has partnered with the National Authority to prioritize chemistry and ballistics exhibits. So this is being dealt with. And in 2023, a total of 98,947 Section 212 statements. These are chemistry specific, were uploaded onto the investigation case docket management system, which are then accessed by investigating officers for use in court. And in the same period, a total of 55,275 Section 212 statements related to ballistics investigations or evidence analyses were uploaded onto the ICDMS. And no case has been withdrawn in court due to the lack of a forensic report in the above mentioned period. Executive Undertaking G spoke specifically to the refurbishment and expanding of the FSL capability in the Eastern Cape province in Gqeberha, as well as the revamping of the FSL in the KwaZulu-Natal province. The DNA lab has been completed. It's up and running. It was launched by the President on the 31st of August, and engagement is currently underway between the SAPS and the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure regarding the KwaZulu-Natal FSL. Executive Undertaking H refers to the purchasing of unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, body-worn cameras, as well as shot spotters in high-density crime areas. In terms of this, funding was allocated to the Division Technology Management Services for each one of these projects for the procurement of this technology as indicated. In terms of the drones, we've procured 32 drones. These drones have been provided to the SAPS, and additional routine procurement processes are to be realized upon the establishment of the contract. In terms of body-worn and dash cameras, the procedural procurement process for the bid for the body-worn and dashboard cameras has been compiled. Final quality control and specifications is underway. The proof of concept containing operational and technical requirements for these selected devices, including costing and the evaluation criteria, are in process for consideration. In terms of the gunshot detection solution acquisition, the SAPS has done thorough research in this regard through a needs analysis and has opted for the utilization of a lease model In terms of this lease model, the rental implication would be 4.2 million and monthly, or an amount of 51 million annually, and this would cover a 40 square kilometer radius in the prioritized areas. The business case and specification based on the reprioritized requirement is in process for sign-off. As far as the ANPR goes, the deployment and utilization of the ANPR light cell phone application solution has been successfully implemented in the Western Cape. The deployment of this solution in other provinces was delayed due to the finalization of the cell phone contract, but was approved on the 7th of September, and the Free State, Limpopo, and Northwest provinces have initiated the implementation of the use of these devices. The ANPR static camera solution was published as part of the CCTV access control bid, and that has a closing date of the 28th of November 2023. Executive Undertaking I, an amount of 1.8 billion allocated for the procurement of vehicles to improve police visibility. This is for the purchasing of vehicles. SAPS cost centers received individual budgets for the procurement of vehicles as determined by them. The actual expenditure of 574 million, or 35%, was realized as at 31 October. And orders to the value of 918 million have already been placed, and we are awaiting delivery of these vehicles. Executive Undertaking J relates to the capacitation of the frontline service operations at our 10111 centers as part of the Operation Vulindlela. This was introduced by the President during the 2023 State of the Nation address, and this particular executive undertaking also addresses an amount of 1 billion to be allocated for the building of police stations and 30 million for the conversion of trucks to mobile community service centers to improve our provisioning of policing services. The SAPS has worked very closely with the presidency in this regard in terms of Project Vulindlela. The project team has been established. We are working with the project management office within the presidency, and 3 phases have been identified as constituting this project: the diagnostic phase, the planning phase, and the implementation phase. In terms of the diagnostic phase, this has been completed. External consultants conducted a diagnostic assessment on the 10111 command centers. So all of the 10111 command centers in the 9 provinces, the diagnosis has been finalized at them, and the findings and recommendations have been submitted to the steering committee, which comprises both the SAPS and the presidency. In terms of the planning phase, consultants made specific recommendations in terms of IT diagnostics as well as a workforce model, and these recommendations were analyzed, a project plan compiled to ensure the implementation of the recommendations in accordance with allocated budget and time frame. Implementation is underway. Just in terms of the short-term focus, specific short-term focus or short-term intervention areas have been identified as indicated: the development of wrap-up codes, the blacklisting of prank callers, which we have a particular problem with, as well as the introducing of outbound callback for dropped calls, a problem we've also faced negotiating with 112 emergency centers to pass on caller IDs to 10111 call centers, the splitting of calls into different queues to make it more manageable, and bringing on board new SAPS recruits earmarked for the 10111 call centers. There's also a long-term focus, which includes the call center technology system upgrades, various workforce planning tools, as well as training for the workforce, the capacitation of the command centers, the improving of facilities, the increasing of linked stations to the 10111 centers, the providing of solutions at these centers to ensure uninterrupted power supply, And in several sectors where the private sector can provide support, this has been identified and will be pursued as part of the project towards the enhancing of the functioning of the 10111 command centers. In addition, the amount of 1 billion rand, which was specifically and exclusively allocated for public works, due to under-expenditure projects, environment was approved by National Treasury, shifting an amount of 388 million to fund other operational requirements. In addition to that, the SAPS was, in terms of the adjustment process, required to reduce its budget, and an additional 150 million was shifted from capital works. With a revised allocation of 465.226 million, the expenditure was at 243.932 million, or 52.4% as at the 31st of October. The amount of 30 million that was allocated for the conversion of trucks, in this regard, actual payments to the amount of 12.5 million have been realized, which is 41% as at the 31st of October. In terms of the construction of police stations, we do have a memorandum of agreement as well as a service level agreement between ourselves and the National Department of Public Works. And the specific breakdown in terms of the budget allocation as well as the progress for each one of the projects was provided to the committee as per the Annexure A of the submission. The status of the projects registered for the construction of new police stations, there are 7 reflected: Muyeke, Dwarsberg, Kanana, Ennerdale, Chiame, Muyeni, as well as Paudi. The feedback is provided in terms of each one of these, as well as the anticipated construction completion date. And the same principle is applied in terms of the construction of interim police stations using park homes or prefabricated structures, looking at 7 specific sites. The progress in terms of each one of these sites, as well as the anticipated completion date, has also been provided. In terms of the status of the revamping of FSL in the KwaZulu-Natal province, the needs assessment, as confirmed by the Office of the Provincial Commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal, has been completed and submitted to the National Department of Public Works, who is busy with a feasibility analysis, which will be communicated to SAPS for the activation of the subsequent phases once that has been done. This project was escalated for intervention by our National Commissioner, who conducted a meeting with the acting DG of the NDPWI on the 18th of July. And the NDPWI has made a commitment that the feasibility analysis report will be submitted to SAPS by the end of October. The NDPWI has yet to submit this feasibility analysis to the SAPS. Chairperson, that concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier. Deputy Minister, there is anything maybe they want to add, or can I hand over to? Okay.
Maybe before the Deputy Minister, Honorable Chair, if I may.
Okay, you can.
Yeah. Thanks. Just to add that the only problem now with some of the projects that are going on, some of them will be affected by the current austerity measures that came into place. As a department, we have got a shortfall of just over 2 billion, which is in terms of the budget cuts. So, yeah, some of the areas might be affected in the process. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Minister, there is anything you want to add before I hand over to the members if they want to comment or raise questions?
No, thanks, Chair. I think National Commissioner and Brigadier Michel have responded appropriately to the issues that have been raised. Thanks very much. And thank you once more for affording us the opportunity to appear before you. Thank you.
Oh, I've seen there is a hand for Colonel. What is the same name? Afan. don't
Good,
something.
good
Yeah.
afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairperson and DM, National Commissioner. This is General Sibia. In relation to slide 9, tracking teams, I just wanted to say that the response, of course, it is that the details regarding the above-mentioned teams cannot be provided. But I just wanted to add that safe to say that there are tracking teams implemented in each and every province and they are fully operational. That's what I wanted to just add, DM and Chairperson. That's all.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. I think, honorable members, if there is anyone with a comment or a question, you can come in. I've seen the hand of Honorable Badenos and Honorable Sheikh. Yes, Honorable Badenos, you can come in.
Honourable Chair, thank you very much. Just want to put my camera on. Thank you very much. I just have two questions, if I may. What would the reason be for the under expenditure under undertaking J6? There was a mention of an under expenditure there. And then secondly, it is my understanding that Treasury put a moratorium on the hiring of all new staff a couple of months ago across all departments. So I just want to know, with the building of these new police stations, how will the staffing, how will it work? Is that a previous arrangement? Or how will the moratorium impact the hiring of new staff for the police stations? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Sheikh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me also take this opportunity to thank the Deputy Minister and the Department progress with regard to the executive undertaking. Chairperson, I might have a few just questions of clarity. Just in terms of I think the previous question that was raised by Honorable Badenhorst, with regard to the appointment, this would also link to the appointment of former members in detective services. What I want to know is how many former members are expected to be appointed, and secondly, are they affected by the austerity measures that have been is this appointment affected by the austerity measures? Chairperson, the other issue, I think we should also appreciate the progress that is being provided by the department, especially in terms of the department's commitment to curb gender-based violence and femicide, where they undertook to increase the SAP's forensic footprint. And I think we should appreciate the progress that is made in the Northern Cape in this regard. However, I think with KZN, the department is indicating with regard to the revamping of the forensic science lab there, that there are still challenges with regard to especially public works, where they are expected to submit a feasibility study, a feasibility on a matter. And this is also despite, I think, interventions that have been taken at the level of the National Commissioner and the head of National Public Works. But perhaps with regard to the feasibility, that Public Works not able to submit that, I'm not sure whether the department has reasons of vehicles. As indicated, with the delivery of vehicles to the amount of the 918 odd million be completed within the current financial year. While I understand departments can request for rollovers if not, but if they can give us an indication by when will those vehicles actually be delivered. I think this is a matter in terms of our general engagement with the department. Vehicles have been quite an issue in terms of the resources that police stations require. Chairperson, my last issue is with regard to the status of the construction projects. And once again, at the comment, homing just on Limpopo, Chairperson, which is, it's indicated that it is at 75% and expected construction completion date is the end of this month. Whether this is still on track and whether that timeline will be met. Secondly, Chair, the interim police station at Matlala, which is at 31% expected completion date, is at the end of this financial year. Chair, I would also want to know if these timelines will be met and or whether these are also affected by the austerity measures. Thanks, Chair. That's all from my side. Chairperson, I'm done.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you, Honorable. Yes, thank you, Honorable Sheikh. I think there are some other issues that you raised. Your network was unstable, but I will hand over to the Deputy Minister and General Masimola.
Thank you very much. I will ask that the National Commissioner through you and the CFO talks to the issues that have been raised. If you allow, Chair, National Commissioner.
Thanks very much, Honorable Chairperson. Yeah, the network is quite bad, but I think the team will answer on those that I could not pick up. The reason for under expenditure on the building of police stations, Honorable Chairperson, it is mostly the various contracts that.
Honorable Chair, DM, if I may come in on some of the questions.
Yeah, is the construction of police stations, Honorable Chairperson, that are at various stages, mostly the ones responsible for the under expenditure. The process of the service providers in terms of delivery varies from one to the other. The hiring of new staff, yes, indeed, it will be affected by the moratorium on or the budget austerity measures currently. It will affect, of course, especially more on the Public Service Act personnel. In terms of police members, we will still employ. The National Treasury did not bar SAPS not to employ, but the only problem is that if there is a cut of 2.4 or 2.2 billion budget on us, so we cannot only take it from the operational budget. Somewhere, somehow, it will affect also the numbers, which we do not hope that happen, but at the end of the day, we have got this cut that we have to make it somehow, somewhere. So to an extent, it will affect even the Police Act members, which currently the National Treasury did exempt us to say we can still fill those posts for new police constables. But if there is not sufficient money, we will definitely be affected. Detectives, Honorable Chair, we are currently re-enlisting 400 detectives. The process is on as we speak, but yes, that will to an extent be affected, but we will see how much we can. But we are aiming to re-enlist 400 detectives, and of course, internally Last year we allocated 600. We trained 600, and this year we are also training over 1,000 new and those that are coming from within the service. So with a view to increase the numbers. I think let me ask my colleagues to feed up on some of the questions, especially General Fanning, followed by General Dimpane.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, the Deputy Minister, the National Commissioner. All protocol is observed. General Fani is kicked out. I will attempt to respond to a question on delivery of vehicles. We anticipate that 100% delivery of vehicles will realize by March. We do not have any problems that we are experiencing that will prevent such. And we are hopeful that all those vehicles will reach us and we will be in a position to can pay the bill before the end of the financial year. In terms of the progress, in terms of anticipated construction and completion date, there's indication from supply chain management that those particular milestones will not be affected that much in terms of the austerity measures. Those dates are monitored closely, and we anticipate that those projects will then be completed as anticipated in this particular regard. I believe other matters the National Commissioner has touched on in terms of the implication of this in-year budget cuts. There is an indication over the MTF that these budget cuts will still affect us in this regard, but I believe the National Commissioner has touched on those. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think all the question has been answered. I don't know whether they've got everything. Honorable Sheikh, are you covered? And Honorable Padenost? I've seen the hand of Honorable Padenost.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to clarify. So we just got this presentation now of brand new police stations that's going to build, and the general have just acknowledged that yes, there is a moratorium and they don't have enough staff to fill these new police stations. So are we busy building white elephants? Are we busy building something that's just going to stand empty because there is no staff when it's completed next year? And then what happens to the buildings after that? So I really want to push this and ask, I need clarification. Is there going to be enough staff for these buildings, or are we busy building white elephants, please?
Honorable Sheikh.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm not sure, maybe I missed it, but the question I asked with regard to the forensic science lab in KZN, whether there were reasons from Public Works with regard to the delays. Chair, I think that was what was left out. Thank you, Chair.
I want to check with the officials. Did you get the question of Honorable Sheikh, and also a follow-up question from Honorable Padenost? General Masemola.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. The question of Honorable Padenost, the response will be as follows. Honorable Padenost, when this budget cuts came in, some of the projects in the building of police station were already started. Those that are at construction stage, we definitely will have to proceed, because we can't leave the process of building halfway, which might culminate into a loss of funds and so. But those that were at the site clearance and still at a stage where we are doing quite a number of processes, but we were not yet at the stage where we have started the building. Those are the ones, obviously, as a cost-saving measure, those are the ones that will obviously not go on. But those that will build, will carry on building, and from there, out of personnel that we get, we will see how we patch up or allocate personnel to those police stations from our current, of course, Robin Peter to pay Paul, and a little bit of the new recruits that we are having, because we can't totally leave those buildings unoccupied. So that will be the implication. In other words, the budget cuts came right in the middle of some of the projects. So we'll see which are those projects that we can hold to get savings from those, to use that money as part of the 2.4 billion that I was talking about. But those that we were already in the building stage will finalize. And as we finalize, we will get into, of course, an exercise of Robin Peter to pay Paul, unless, of course, at some point the Treasury comes into our rescue, because we don't know whether this austerity measures, it's not yet clear now whether is it for the only this current financial year, or it's going to have a ripple effect into the MTF that we cannot answer at this stage. On the KZN lab, Honorable Chairperson, I couldn't get Honorable Sheikh well. I would presume she was asking progress. If that is the case, the Department of Public Works, together with our SAP supply chain, they are in a process. There was a building where which they initially identified wrongly. So, but then we have since took a decision that there is a space at the Durban Central Police Station, which can be used as a lab. They are currently underway to make sure that we erect the lab, a temporary lab at the Durban Central Police Station, and at the same time finalize the process of the permanent lab that is at the site in Pinetown, which will be the main bigger lab for the whole of KZN. And the one that will be at the Durban Central will, of course, just be a small lab that will only accommodate parts of the main lab. Just like we have in Pretoria, we have a lab in Arcadia, and we have a lab in Silverton, which they are doing, complementing each other in different functions. So the progress there, I know up to there. If General Fani was here, he would give a better progress as to where they are, but that's what the progress I know, unless General Dimpani will know the further latest details. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. General Dimpani.
Thank you, Chair. Initial Commission, as we have explained, safe to say that we still await a feasibility analysis report from the PWS subs as committed during the intervention meeting between yourself and the acting DG. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think there is anything, Deputy Minister, from your side, or you are fine? Before I continue.
I'm fine, Chair. Thanks very much.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you, honorable members. If there is no questions, and we want to appreciate the report and the progress that has been done by SAPS, because they also did procure the 32 remotely piloted aircraft system, and also the opening of the new refurbished and expanded forensic lab at Gqeberha. We've seen that there is a progress that is happening, and we hope that the other things like constructions that are on place according to the presentation of the time frame is going to be finalized by that time. We appreciate your presence, Deputy Minister, and officials led by General Masimola. I think we are to the end of the meeting. I want to declare the meeting closed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chair.